Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone to this yet another session of Bhagavad Gita reading. We read Bhagavad Gita here, and currently we are reading the third chapter. We have discussed the first four verses, and in this session, we are going to read verse number 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so just a quick recollection before we proceed with the verses. In the previous session, we saw that we gave a brief introduction about the Karma Yoga. This entire chapter is basically based on Karma Yoga. So we understood what is the yoga ladder, what is the Karma Yoga, and how one slowly progresses from Karma Yoga to Jnana Yoga. Okay, and we also saw, which was very important aspect towards the end of the last session, that in this particular age, in this particular age of Kali Yuga, uh, the lives of people are so degraded that the natural division of the society, which used to exist, which was known as the Varnashram, right, where naturally people were divided according to their work and according to their consciousness into four classes: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. That is not possible. Okay, that has all got mixed up in this age of Kali Yuga, and you know each and every person is basically a combination of all these four varnas, little bit of Brahmana, little bit of Kshatriya, little bit of Vaishya, and mostly Shudra, kind of mentality. Okay, so it's not possible to practice even Karma Yoga in this particular age, and the only way forward for every single person in this particular age of Kali Yuga, if they want to walk on the path of self-realization, if they want to perfect their human life, then it's only bhakti, right? Bhakti of Lord Sri Krishna, and that can be done by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, so this was a quick recollection. Before we move on to the verse number 5, 6, and 7, I would like to perform some pranam mantras. Those who know can please repeat after me. Those who don't, please try to listen very intently, because listening is also very, very purifying. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघते गिरि यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं। परमानंद माधवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरं। हरि ओम। So we will move on to the verse number 5. Let me share my screen. Okay. So Bhagavad Gita, verse number 5, chapter number 3. It goes like this. Nahi kaschit kshanam api jatu tishtatya karmakrit karyate yavasha karma sarva prakritirjar gune. And the translation: Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. So, very important verse again, and we will try to first understand that what is the like idea behind it. What are these three modes of material nature? Actually, the three modes of material nature is an entire chapter dedicated to the three modes of material nature in the Bhagavad Gita. We will see that in much detail later on, but at least some overview I'll try to give in this particular verse, and also we'll try to understand what are the qualities of a spirit soul. Okay, so if we look at the translation, what Krishna is saying here is that therefore no one can refrain from doing something even for a moment. Okay, so this gives us an idea about how one spirit soul is like, basically. Okay, and what happens is the spirit soul has basically two very important qualities. Okay, and what are those two qualities? Those two qualities are: one, spirit soul is very happy and blissful by nature. Okay, that is the default state of one spirit soul. Why? Because we are eternal parts and parcels of Krishna, and Krishna is the reservoir of bliss. Okay, so by nature we are also very blissful, we are also very happy. Okay, that is point number one. Point number two, spirit soul is also very, very active. Okay, it cannot sit idle even for a moment. Okay, it has to be engaged in some activity or the other. Okay, so these are two very important qualities of spirit soul. And coming to the first part, the blissful part, so eternally we are very, very blissful. Okay, and unfortunately we have been put into a condition, okay, which is nothing but this material world, and this condition is such that it is very contradictory to our basic personality. Okay, so whereas the spirit soul is blissful, this whole material world or material nature is actually what Krishna has termed as dukkhalayam. Okay, this is a place of misery. So how can we be happy here, right? Those people who think that okay, everything is going fine and life is good, I think they are the ones who are in the biggest illusion. Okay, because if you look a little deeply, okay, just try to understand, observe life of every individual, right? We are working hard day and night. Okay, and why? Just to get some happiness. Okay, we think that okay, we will earn some money and we will have a nice house and that will make us happy. Okay, but the problem of this material world is that it's ever changing, it's temporary. Okay, so even if we, by working hard and by spending some time, behind a particular activity, we achieve something in life. Okay, still we are not very satisfied with that. Okay, have you seen Sachin Tendulkar, like, scoring just 100 and just saying, "Yeah, bas, I'm very happy now. I'm very satisfied now." No, he played for India for over 30 years and just wanted to keep on scoring in every game, right? Every day we go to the office, we try to give our best. Right? Why? Because it's not that okay, आज मैंने इतना code लिख लिया, so it's a very nice performing code, so I'm very happy and very satisfied with my performance. No, it's not like that. Rather, every day we go and we try to improve ourselves. What we were yesterday, we try to do better than that today. Okay, so, and this is the case with everyone in every aspect of life. Okay, I mean, no one is ever satisfied. We get something, then we strive for something else. We achieve that, we strive for something else, and this is a never-ending process. Why? Because we are looking for a permanent happiness. Okay, the permanent bliss which only we can give, which we can get only in association of Krishna. Okay, otherwise, if as long as we are in this material nature, the very nature of this material world is temporary. So how can the happiness here be, permanent, right? So that is also temporary. That is also very short-lived, and continuously we have to, keep running after happiness, and that puts us into anxiety, rather than making us happy. So therefore, Krishna has termed this particular world, this material world, as dukkhalayam and ashashvatam, which is a place of miseries and which is non-permanent or temporary. Okay. So this was the blissful aspect of the spirit soul, that we are by nature blissful, but we have been put into a condition which is very contradictory to us. So we are not very happy. We are not very blissful here. Coming to the active part. Okay, so spirit soul is always active. Okay, it like some engagement it needs. Otherwise, it simply doesn't exist without any engagement. Okay. So for a spirit soul, there are two options. Like Jivatmas like us, we have two options. Okay, either we serve Krishna, okay, and be eternally happy. Okay, if we don't do that, then we will have to serve Maya, the Maya Shakti of the Lord. We will be put under the control of Maya Shakti of the Lord, and then we will be just simply wasting our time, doing nothing. So some people may say that, no, Prabhuji, how are you saying that we'll be wasting our time? I am a CEO of a company, right? I have so many things to look after, right? And I'm such a big person. I have so much of respect in the society. People just know me, and I have so many fan followings also. So how can you say that I'm not doing anything? So again, just like the blissful aspect of the soul, we have to think little deeply on the active aspect also. Okay. Now, since spirit soul is very active, it has to be put into either service of Krishna. If we do not choose to serve Krishna, we will be put under the service of Maya Shakti. And when we are under the Maya Shakti, we are illusioned and we simply waste our time doing nothing. Okay. Some people may argue that, okay, we are doing some very valuable things, but let's analyze what are we doing. Okay. So, say for example, okay, someone is a CEO of a company. Okay. They are working day and night. A lot of things are also going on in the news these days that you should be working 70 hours a day or 90 hours a day, and lots of nonsense is going around. Okay. So uh, you know at the end of the day, what is it that we are achieving? Okay. We may be very very uh, what to say successful in what we are doing. Okay, we may earn a lot of money, we may have a very luxurious house, we may have a lot of properties all around the world, we may have some very nice luxury cars, but at the end of the day, what will happen? Okay, even a person who is a rich businessman, okay, or a person who is uh, maybe living on the streets, okay, they will ultimately meet the same end. The fate will be the same. They will have to quit their bodies one day. Okay, and when we will quit our body, is it possible that we'll be taking even a single penny with ourselves? No. Everything that we have achieved in this entire lifetime will remain here. Okay, then essentially, what did we do? We didn't do anything, right? I mean, if we are not able, if a person who is a CEO, if he dies and maybe he's fortunate enough to say get a human form in the next life also, will he be reborn as a CEO? No, he will be reborn as an ordinary child. He will have to go through that grinding once again, right? Primary school, middle school, high school, college, post graduation, and then finally maybe he can become someone. Okay, right? All depends upon the karma of his this life and the previous life. Okay. So essentially, you see that we are not doing anything. Okay, as long as we are in this, serving the Maya Shakti of the Lord. Yes, we are under an illusion that we are very important. We are doing some very important stuff. Okay, scientists think that okay, they are doing something really important. The politicians think that okay, they are doing something very important. The engineers think that they are doing something very important. The folks with like the doctors, MBA folks or lawyers, they all think that they are doing something very very important. Okay, and they are making very significant contribution to the society by doing that. But if you think deeply, none of us are doing anything valuable, because whatever we are doing is going to stay here. We are not going to take away anything from this life. Okay. So this is the whole crux of the situation, that of the matter. Okay, that the spirit soul is by default very active, and the best way to utilize this active aspect of the spirit soul is to engage itself in the service of Lord Sri Krishna. Okay, otherwise they will be put into under the Maya Shakti of the Lord, and under the Maya Shakti we will do everything except working for self realization, everything except for perfecting our lives. Okay, so that is something which we all need to understand. Okay, and this activeness, or maybe the consciousness, okay, this aspect is the symptom of a spirit soul. Okay, if you see, like, my body is active right now because of the presence of the spirit soul within this body. Okay, as long as the spirit soul goes out of this body, I'll be a dead matter, a dead body, right? So this is what the whole thing is. And No, we have to. This is a very subtle science, basically, which we need to understand. And those people who say that there is no such thing like a spirit soul or a spirit soul doesn't exist, to me, they are not very intelligent people. Okay, because they are not observing things all around. Okay, if you see that. As soon as a person dies, okay, the soul leaves the body. Okay, from that moment on, people don't call that person by their name. Okay, they simply call it as body or a dead body, right? Though that body was active just because of the presence of spirit soul. Okay, like yesterday only, I was just trying to revive one of my old laptops, and I was just trying to install, another operating system on to that laptop, and I was also simultaneously like meditating upon this particular verse because I had to give a session today. So, and I just thought that this our human body is also very much like that of a laptop. We can draw certain analogies, rough analogies. Like in a laptop, the most important part is the processor. Okay. For example, if people who are using Mac, okay, MacBook, they know that M1, M2, M3, these are the processors which have been, developed by Apple. Similarly, i5, i7, these are the Windows processors, right? So as long as the processor is there, same thing for the mobile phones also. Like, okay, Snapdragon is there for the Android phones. I don't know what they use for iPhones, but something similar they might be using. Okay, and as long as the processor is there on any device, the device is functional. Okay, it can be put into uh, use in multiple ways. Okay, there are a lot of functionalities there. As soon as you take out that processor out of the device, what's going to happen? It's going to be a dead device, right? It's as good as a toy, right? So this is exactly what our body is also. Like as long as the spirit soul is there, we are active. Okay, we are animated. We are moving. We are talking. We are expressing ourselves. As long as the spirit soul is there. As soon as the spirit soul leaves the body, we are simply dead matter. Okay, so these are the two very important aspects of a spirit soul. One, that it is very blissful, and second, it's very active. Okay, so we have to understand that the active aspect can be utilized properly only when we engage in the service of Lord Sri Krishna, right? By doing that, we will be perfecting our lives and we will be actually blissful. Okay, we will come, in cognizance with the first aspect, which is the blissful aspect of the spirit soul. Okay, otherwise, this place is a dukhalayam. We will only be frustrated here, even after trying for a very long time different things, but we will end up getting frustrated. Okay, and also remaining active, under the Maya Shakti of the Lord is not going to fetch us any results. Basically, we will be only wasting our time. Okay, Shram evhi kevalam. Okay, whatever we do, if it is not done in Krishna consciousness, if it doesn't make me Krishna conscious, or if it doesn't make me a devotee of Krishna, then that particular activity is simply wastage of our time and energy. Okay, so this is what Krishna is saying here, that spirit soul by nature is very active. Okay, so no one in this material world or in any world, even in spiritual world for that matter, can remain even for a moment without doing any karma or without doing any work. Okay, so the best thing is that engage ourselves in the service of Krishna. Okay, and utilize this active aspect of the spirit soul properly to perfect our human lives. Okay, that is the verdict of this particular verse. So moving on to the next verse, I will share my screen again. Verse number 6. It goes like this. Karmendriyani sanyamya ya aste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimudhatma mithyachara sa uchyate. Translation: one who restrains the senses of action but whose mind dwells on the sense objects certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. Okay, very, very important verse. This is the reason, this is the verse which can tell, that why so many people are getting cheated today. Okay. So in the previous chapter, in the previous verse, previous session, if you can recall, I spoke something about the sannyas aspect of life, okay, and how sannyas is not recommended in Kali Yuga, and I'll throw some more light on that in this particular verse while discussing this particular verse, and how premature sannyas is dangerous. Okay, because there is every chance of fall down, and it's very abominable to do that. That's what I mentioned in the so in the previous session I also described something about the varnashram system. Okay, that there are four varnas and there are four ashrams. Okay, and if a person identifies themselves that to which particular varna they belong, and according to their ashram they are situated in, if they perform their certain prescribed duties, okay, which are prescribed in the shastras basically, they can slowly make progress and ultimately reach the perfection of life, of life, that is attaining Krishna. Okay, attaining Sri Krishna. But we also saw that in this age of Kali Yuga, everything is a khichdi now. Okay, right? We don't know what our varna is. Okay, as I said earlier, that we have some qualities of a Brahmana, some qualities of a Vaishya, some qualities of a Shudra, right? And some qualities of, and most of the qualities are that of a Shudra. Some qualities are of Vaishya are there. Okay, like that. So the problem is that everything is actually mixed up in this age of Kali Yuga, and it's very difficult to identify to which particular varna we belong to. Okay. Similarly, there's an ashram system also. Okay, that it starts with the brahmachari ashram, then grihastha, then vanaprastha, and then sannyas. Okay. So, as a brahmachari, a person needs to like maintain complete celibacy for first 25 years of their lives. Okay, they should not be engaging with the opposite gender much. Okay, only to an extent that is necessary. And most of the time they are basically, it's a student life. Okay, they should be spending their time in studies and focus on their studies in the vicinity of a able guru or a teacher. Okay, and for the first 25 years they should lead their lives like this. Okay, that was the way in which people used to lead their lives in the previous yugas. Okay, and then finally, once the person is 25, he should get married. Okay, and then enter into the grihastha ashram. Okay, stay there for another 25 years, and on 50 they should actually give up all the attachment towards their actually kids. Okay, sons and daughters. Maybe the wife can also accompany him in this scenario, and at 50 they should take up the vanaprastha ashram. Okay, and vanaprastha ashram is basically living a detached life, and giving everything, doing every thing in the service of Krishna, basically carrying out only devotional service. Okay, 100% on that. And then finally, after at 60 years or above, they can go for a sannyas, where they just remain completely detached from all the material aspects of this life. Okay, so these were the four ashramas. Okay, these are the four ashramas which are defined in the shastras. Now, again, as we see that in Kali Yuga, everything is a kitli. Okay, there is no concept of brahmacharya here. Okay, in Kali Yuga, we all know that no one is following celibacy. Okay, at a very young age, the brahmacharya is broken. Okay, these days, teenagers at that age itself, they are into sexual activities, and we all know that. Okay, uh, even actually the society is also promoting, like commingling of boys and girls, and there is no restriction on premarital sex also. Things like living relationship have come up, and making of boyfriends, girlfriends, then break up, then another boyfriend or another girlfriend, then again break up, and so on and so forth. Then they move on to the after a very long time, like no one gets married around 2025 or around 25 or 26 years these days. Okay, I mean, generally people are getting married in their either in their mid 30s, I guess, at 30 to 35. That is the age basically. Okay, these days people are getting married around that time. And then after that, what happens? Okay, like a person who has slept with a man who has slept with several women, okay, before marriage. Okay, how do you expect him to be a loyal husband? Okay, or how can you expect him to be a person who will be committed to one particular woman his entire life? Similarly, if a woman has slept with different men before her marriage, how can you expect her to be a chaste wife for her entire lifetime? Okay, it's not possible. Okay, And similarly, that's the reason why we see that there are so many divorce cases these days. Okay, little bit of disagreement and that ends in a divorce. Okay, to an extent that certain people, some people have even commercialized this thing, commercialized this aspect. Okay, they are using these divorce cases to mint money basically. And we have seen certain cases very recently, right? That these cases have come into limelight. So Grihastha ashram is also gone. Okay, so brahmachari is gone. No brahmacharis are there. Grihastha is also gone. Vanprastha, like once you start working, there is no question of taking leading a detached life after 50, basically, right? Because our lifestyle is such, our job scenario is such that it's not possible, okay, that someone will just give up everything at the age of 50 and along with his wife they will move to a secluded place and they start living a detached life. It's not possible, because if you are getting married at 35 only, your kids will be very young even when you are reaching 50 years of age, right? So you'll have to take care of them, and the responsibility actually that never ends, right? And then what happens at 60? Like, we are so attached already to the family that there is no possible of sannyas also. When vanprastha is not possible, how can someone think of sannyas? Okay, so everything is a khichdi, and that is the reason why it is in the shastras it is mentioned that sannyas is not recommended for this age of Kali Yuga. Okay, so just stay where you are and try to perform your duties, prescribed duties, which is there. Okay, so, and that is what Krishna is saying, that in this particular verse, that people who actually artificially take sannyas, okay, just for the sake of showing it off to other people, okay, they just maybe they put on a nice tilak, they wear nice sannyas attire, and they portray as Babajis, basically, right? So that is basically very abominable. That's what Krishna is saying, that such people are mithyachara or pretenders or cheaters. And the worst thing is that they are cheating themselves. Okay, they think that okay, they have taken sannyas, and externally they might be withdrawn, towards the sense objects, but mentally they're continuously contemplating only on the sense objects. Okay, so what is that kind of a situation? That's a very poor situation to be in. That's a very pathetic situation to be in, right? That is the reason why we see today that there are some spiritual people actually, who were supposed to be, you know, who were supposed to call themselves as gurus, basically, but they ended up having physical relationships with their own disciples. Okay, and there are so many cases like that. Why? Because externally they might have taken sannyas and they are just portraying themselves as sannyasis to other people, but their contemplation is continuously on the sense objects. Okay, and then they end up doing such heinous acts. Okay, so it's basically cheating. Okay, and just imagine a person who is of this kind of a mentality, they become the so-called gurus in the society. So what will they do? They are cheating themselves, and they will pass on the same teachings to their disciples also. Okay, so they are cheating the disciples also. Okay, and their disciples are also getting corrupted with this kind of teaching, basically, which they are imparting to them, right? So Srila Prabhupada often used to say that as long as people are ready to be cheated, cheaters are always going to be there, right? So it's very important that we keep a cool head. Once it comes to the spirituality, we just keep a cool head and analyze all the spiritual what to say organizations which are there all around, and with a very cool head and with a very analytical mind, we should determine that which is the one who is actually giving me the correct guidance. Okay, which is the one which is actually talking in terms of what is written in the shastras and what is right and what is wrong on the basis of shastric injunctions. Okay, if someone is not doing that, you can easily infer that it's simply cheating, and they are just cheating themselves, they're cheating the public and nothing else. So this is what Krishna is saying in this particular verse, that if we take premature sannyas, right? If we are externally, very nicely wearing a sannyas attire, putting on a tilak and everything, but internally our mind is just contemplating on the sense objects, then the person is only cheating himself and he's cheating others. Okay, such kind of sannyas is not recommended. And we have also seen that how in Kali Yuga, since the varnashram is completely destroyed, Okay, it's not possible for us to take sannyas, and therefore sannyas is not recommended in this age of Kali Yuga. Okay, so and a very nice verse actually is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so now the question may arise that what should one do? Okay, when the prescribed duties are there, but we don't know to which varna we belong, we don't know to which ashram we belong. Okay, then what should one do in that scenario? Like, how can we follow those prescribed duties? Okay, because what Shastra says that if someone in say if they are situated in a particular varnashram, okay, say for example, they belong to a certain varna and they belong to a certain ashram. So there is a prescribed duty for that combination. Okay, and only by following those prescribed duties, they can what they can do. They can just simply make slow and steady progress on on the path of spirituality, and then they can attain Lord Sri Krishna at the end of their lifetime. Okay, but in this Kali Yuga, this is all mixed up. Okay, so in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is very nice shloka. I would read the translation of this sloka basically, okay? And it says, if someone takes to Krishna consciousness, even though he may not follow the prescribed duties in the Shastras or execute the devotional service properly, and even though he may fall down from the standard, there is no loss or evil for him. So this particular verse, it is in the first canto, 5th chapter, 17th verse. Okay, please take a note. And it is specifically meant for people of this age, okay, where Varnashram has gone for a toss. Nothing exists in in a proper way here. The only way forward for us is bhakti or Krishna consciousness. Okay, simply by following Krishna consciousness, there is no need for us to follow all the prescribed duties. If we just perform bhakti very nicely, if we are fixed up in our devotional services, okay, that is more than enough to take us back home, back to Krishna. Okay, and that is the yuga dharma of Kali Yuga. Okay, kaler dosha nidhe rajan asti ye ko mahan guna kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangha param vraje. Okay, that although Kali Yuga is ocean of faults, oh my dear king, right? Shukdev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj, okay, that although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, yet there is one very nice gun in this particular age. What is that nice gun? What is that Mahan gun? Kirtanad eva Krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. Just by chanting the holy names of Krishna, one can break this cycle of life, death, and rebirth and go back home, back to Krishna. Okay, the kingdom of God, basically. Okay, so this is what this particular verse says. I'll also quickly read the purport because it's a small purport and it will give us a more insights, further insight. Okay, there are many pretenders who refuse to work in Krishna consciousness but make a show of meditation while actually dwelling within the mind upon sense enjoyment. Such pretenders may also speak on dry philosophy in order to bluff sophisticated followers. But according to this verse, they are the greatest cheaters. For sense enjoyment, one can act in any capacity of the social order, but if one follows the rules and regulations of his particular status, he can make gradual progress and purifying the existence. Okay. So when it comes to restriction of the senses, okay, then we need to follow what is written in the Shastra. Okay, that is what is being said here. Okay, and I'll come to that later. But one who makes a show of being yogi while actually searching for the objects of sense gratification must be called the greatest cheater, even though sometimes he speaks of philosophy. His knowledge has no value because the effects of such sinful man's knowledge are taken away by the illusory energy of the Lord. Such a pretender's mind is always impure, and therefore his show of yogic meditation has no value whatsoever. Okay? So this was the fifth, sixth verse, seventh verse. We will see. Now, let me share my screen again. So verse number 7 goes like this. Yasvin indriyani manasa niyamyarabhate arjuna karmendriya karma yogam asakta savishishyate. On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, is by far superior. So what Krishna is saying in the previous verse, he said that a person who is pretending himself to be a sannyasi, or externally he is withdrawing his senses from the sense objects, but internally he is meditating upon the sense objects, then that particular person is a pretender or a cheater. Okay, they cannot be considered as spiritualists. Okay, or a yogi. Whereas on the other hand, a sincere person who tries to control his active senses by mind and begins karma yoga, okay, without attachment, is by far superior. Okay, so we'll try to see what this sense control all means. Okay, so this brings us to one very important question, which we are actually asked by a lot of people, especially the newcomers at ISKCON. Okay, they say that Prabhuji, the brahmacharis and the sannyasis, they are working day in and day out in the service of Krishna. Okay, they are 100% devoted, and they are carrying out devotional service every single day, 24/7. So comparing us to themselves, like the grihasthas or the householders, they don't stand a chance. Like, we are so busy with our household work that what bhakti we will perform? Then how can we even think of attaining Krishna? Okay, they are sure, brahmacharis and sannyasis are sure, because they are carrying out so much of devotional service that ultimately they will attain Krishna. But what about us? Okay, so the answer lies in this particular verse. Okay, so Krishna says that even a sincere person, okay, who tries to withdraw his senses, okay, and begins karma yoga, okay, that person is by far superior. Okay, so in this particular verse, what we can understand is that the withdrawing of senses. Okay, first we'll try to see that. Okay, when we say that a sincere person who is working with a detachment or who has withdrawn his senses, so what does that mean? The senses are there to enjoy the sense objects. Okay, it's not that we can completely stop that. Okay, so, and especially for grihasthas, it's also very important because they have to maintain a family. Okay, and the requirements will be there from the spouse. The requirements will be there from the kids. The requirements will be there. So they have to engage in certain sense objects. Like, they have to, what to say, interact with the sense objects. Okay, there is no question of completely abandoning them, but that sense gratification has to be done in a controlled way, in a regulated way. Okay, the way it has been mentioned in the shastras. Okay, we cannot just whimsically go on. Just because I want to do something, I will do something. Okay, that is not recommended. And that is the case actually today. Okay, today I have some money and certain things are available for me. I will simply spend my money on that and I'll try to enjoy. Okay, people don't see that whether it is in accordance with the shastras or not. They simply just go and try to enjoy. Okay, so this kind of mentality has to be given up. Okay, this is what, when we say about restraining the senses or controlling the senses, that following the regulative life. Okay, if someone is practicing Krishna consciousness, okay, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and following the four regulative principles of no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex outside marriage. Okay, if these four regulative principles are followed, and if the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is chanted each and every single day regularly, okay, then that person is surely, is bound to make progress. Okay, slowly and surely, stepwise, he will make gradual progress. Ultimately, a time will come when all his sinful propensities will be destroyed, all the sinful reactions will be destroyed, and at the end of the life, while quitting Krishna, he will be thinking of Krishna at the last moment, and he will simply attain Krishna. He or she will simply attain Krishna. Okay, there is absolutely no doubt about the fact, because Krishna himself has confirmed this in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, antakale te mameva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra sanshaya. Okay, he who at the time of quitting his body remembers me and only me alone will attain my form without a doubt. Okay, this is the guarantee which Krishna is giving us. Okay, but to remember Krishna at the time of death is not a joke, right? If we are whimsically engaging ourselves in all the sense gratificatory activities, then how can we expect to remember Krishna out of the blue, at the time of quitting the body, right? There are so many attachments, and it is said that person who is very, very attached to their family or their property or their any other material thing for that matter, material person, place, animal, or thing, right? If they are there is too much of attachment, then death for such a person is very, very painful. It's like 70,000 scorpions biting at the same time. That kind of pain a person feels at the time of quitting the body. Okay. So in that scenario, how can we expect that we'll remember Krishna? Okay, people will remember, think about their spouses, people think about their pets, people think about their kids, people think about their property, people think about their this and that and whatnot. Okay, until and unless one has practiced Krishna consciousness, throughout their lifetime, it's not possible for them to, think of Krishna or think about, any form of Sri Radha and Krishna at the time of quitting the body. Okay. So this is what Krishna is saying, that in a controlled way, in a regulated way, if we start practicing Krishna consciousness today, okay, then that person is by far superior to someone who is pretending as a sannyasi but constantly contemplating on the sense objects. Okay. So doesn't matter if we are grihastha. Okay, if you are grihastha, it doesn't matter at all, because the rules and regulations for the grihasthas are little relaxed. Okay, rules and regulations for a brahmachari or sannyasi are very stringent. That point also we need to consider, right? And just by following the four regulative principles and chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we simply need to carry out, stay where you are. Okay, sthane sthita shrutogata, right? Just stay where you are. Don't have to leave anything. You don't have to quit anything. Okay, just stay where you are. Whatever you are doing, whether you are a doctor, give your 100%. When you are working as a doctor, try your best to save the patient. But when you perform well, just give the credit to Krishna, that because you gave me the intelligence, I was able to perform this surgery successfully, or I was able to save this person and like save the life of this person. If you are in a software engineer, you wrote a very nice piece of code. Okay, fine, you just give your 100%, do the best that you can, and once you do it, just offer it to Krishna. Because of the intelligence that you gave me, I was able to do this. Same goes with all the other professions. Okay, whatever you are doing, just do it with the full commitment. Okay, do as if everything depends upon you, but when it comes to the results, offer it to Krishna, that I was able to do this, oh Krishna, because of your mercy. If your mercy is not there, I'm nothing. Okay, with this kind of attitude, if we start working, then automatically our job is done. Okay, we will perfect our lives and we will slowly progress on the path of spirituality. And by making that gradual progress, a time will come when we will attain Krishna, okay, and reside eternally with him in the Golok Vrindavan. So that is the whole sum and substance of this verse. I would also like to read out the purport. We'll just read the purport and then maybe we can close the session for today. Okay. Instead of becoming a pseudo-transcendentalist for the sake of wanton living and sense enjoyment, it is far better to remain in one's own business and execute the purpose of life. Exactly, right? What I said just before concluding, which is to get free from the material bondage and to enter the kingdom of God. So there are two goals of this human life. Okay, one, get free from the material bondage, and two, enter the kingdom of God. Okay, if these two goals are not met, then our life is not successful. Basically, this human life we have just simply wasted. And mind you, it's going to be a very tedious process. Okay, if we waste this lifetime, there is no guarantee that in the next life we will be born as a human being. Okay, we may be born as an animal or as a bird, as an insect, or as a plant, right? And then we will have to go through that entire evolutionary process, and at that point we will not be sure that how many lifetimes it will take for us to get a human form once again. Okay, so this is the time. Okay, we have this opportunity right now. Please utilize it to the fullest. Start chanting Hare Krishna today. Try following the regulative principles. If you are not able to do that, no problems, but at least have that consciousness that okay, I'll try to follow the four regulative principles. Okay, so this is very important. Otherwise, there is no question of getting free from the material bondage. Entering into the kingdom of God is even a distant dream. Okay, we will be caught in this vicious cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Okay, the prime swartha gati, or the goal of self-interest, is to reach Vishnu. or Krishna. The whole institution of Varna and Ashram is designed to help us reach the goal. Okay, a householder can also reach his destination by regulated service in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so we have to follow the four regulative principles, lead a bit of regulated life. Let there be a little bit discipline, okay, in the life that we are leading. Okay, so every small step actually matters. Okay, for self-realization, one can live a controlled life as prescribed in the Shastras and continue carrying out his businesses without attachment. In that way, make progress. Okay, so we have to remain detached and we have to follow the regulative principles. Okay, by detachment, we mean to say that okay, work as if everything depends upon you, but when it comes to the fruits, don't try to enjoy it for yourself. That okay, I did this, so I am getting the return. Okay, I wrote such a nice code, so that's the reason why this software is working so nicely. Okay, I came up with the forecast projection for my company, so that's the reason why the company is performing so well. Okay, I gave this particular medicine, I administered this particular medicine to this patient at the right moment, so therefore he or she is alive today, so I am the cause of that. No, this kind of what to say, mentality of the doership mentality has to be given up. Okay, everything comes from Krishna. Okay, okay, matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. I give people smriti, remembrance, jnanam, intelligence, and apohanam, forgetfulness. Krishna is saying that. So just offer everything to Krishna. That's what is detachment. A sincere person who follows this method is by far suited than the false pretender who adopts the show bottle spiritualism to cheat the innocent people. A sincere sweeper in the street is far better than a meditator who meditates only for the sake of making a living. This is a very important line. Okay, so just follow what you are doing. Okay, whatever profession you are engaged in, just keep doing that. Okay, but do that. Try to do that with detachment. Okay, without any attachment. Try to give the fruits of your actions to Krishna. Okay, dedicate that work to Sri Krishna. And then by doing this, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, follow the four regulative principles. That's it. You'll be perfecting your human life. Okay. So on that note, I would like to end today's session. Thank you so much for joining in. I know this is a complex chapter, so please, please, please don't stop yourself from asking questions. Okay. You can either ask your questions in the chat box. Okay. And or you can ask the questions in the comment section. Okay, when it is posted on YouTube. And apart from that, we also have a WhatsApp group, okay, which you can join. Get in touch with ISKCON Whitefield or ISKCON Kannamangala. Okay, we will tell you how to join this WhatsApp group, and from there on, like that's a more personalized aspect. Like people ask questions, and personally, I try to interact with them. So, but please ask questions, okay, if you have any doubts. Okay. So we will be continuing from the 8th verse in the next session. Thank you so much for joining in. Till then, Hare Krishna.